Alrighty. Okay, we are officially live. How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Lego live stream, is I guess what we're gonna call it. The Lego live stream. Building Legos and talking about dinosaurs. Let me just I have the my desk standing today, so I need to actually pull up the stream on my phone so I can read what you guys are saying. But welcome. Welcome to everybody who's now just dropping by. It's good to see you. I've been building the Lego set for a while now. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. The reason being is because I'm doing it live. I try to talk in my lives. I try to talk so I can engage with you guys while we're doing this. And as a result, I haven't been able to put my full focus on the actual Lego set like I probably should. Well, not necessarily. It's a live stream, so I think that one of the biggest priorities of a live stream is to make sure you're talking. So I'm going to get this set up. It's got it on my phone right here. Have you heard of the hybrid creator community? If not, it's pretty cool. People create biologically possible dinosaur hybrids with pretty cool traits. I've heard of it. I've never gotten into it myself. I know that there's a whole thing surrounding it with hybrid wars and things like that. If that is the same thing, I actually got a piece of the tail done, another piece of the tail right here. So I'm gonna attach that, and we're close. We're close to being done. I'm on bag, what is it, 18 or so, out of about 25. Thoughts on the Upper Elliott Formation? I found out about it while looking more into Ludamadhati Mafabe, my favorite sauropodomorph, and it might be my favorite formation. It's a cool one. It has Pagomustax, which is a heterodontosaurus. Now, I've recently made a few shorts about heterodontosaurids. Pretty interesting dinosaurs overall. Ones that don't get talked about too much, despite the fact they are pretty notable for a few different reasons. One of the biggest reasons being the fact that, of course, they are, they have different types of teeth. And Pagomustax is a good example of that. Poor Rex lost his head. How's it going, Lakota? How you doing, dude? Yeah, unfortunate, right? It's this is all that we found. This is all the skeletal material that we have found of old Tyrant Reptile King here. I assume that the next few bags are going to be completely focused, centered around the tail, which we've made some progress on, and then the bags after that, of course, will probably be the head. Think that the audio's kind of quiet. That's unfortunate. Why is the audio quiet? A bit louder now, hypothetically speaking. So hopefully that picks it up anyway. What is my favorite Tyrannosaurus Rex depiction? Mine is Prehistoric Planet T-Rex, Jurassic Park T-Rex, and the Prehistoric Kingdom T-Rex. I certainly agree with Prehistoric Planet and Prehistoric Kingdom. Those two are really good Rex representations. I would also add the Walking with Dinosaurs 25 interpretation as well. Been sick for a few days, but otherwise doing pretty good. Making good progress on that Rex, though. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying to anyway. It normally doesn't take me several weeks to complete a Lego set. It usually only takes me 2 days, but since I only do one live stream a week, and plus I was on vacation and whatnot, it's been taking me a bit. And I'm trying to talk while I'm doing it, which doesn't help. Kanadi, how's it going, dude? Good to see ya. What is my favorite sauropod? I have a few that I think are really cool. One in particular is Alamosaurus. Alamosaurus is a really neat sauropod. One of the last known North American sauropods in general, which I think is generally pretty neat. I also... What other sauropods do I like? Oh man, I love Brachytrachelopan. It is that is such a funky dinosaur. It is so cool. Okay. What do you think? What do you think? Is this an accurate Tyrannosaurus skeleton? For the most part, yes. So far, they've done a pretty good job at pretty much everything. Like, you know, you even have details like, of course, the neural spines, which I don't know why they wouldn't have that, but even like the chevrons back here. And I just broke one off. Don't mind me. They got a lot going on, and so far I think it's pretty good. Um, what sauropod should be added to the next Jurassic World Evolution, or next to Jurassic World Evolution 3 and Prehistoric Kingdom? Brachytrachelopan. Give me that. That is my favorite Dicrasaurid. Absolutely needs to be in the game. Either game, really. Both games. Never have too much Brachytrachelepans. What are your top 5 favorites? Carcharodontosaurids. Mine are Tyrannotine, Giganotosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, Mapusaurus, and Concavinator. Yes, I agree. I'm not good at making top 10 lists as it is. So there's no way I can give you an accurate list off the top of my head. But I like all of those guys. Carcharodontosaurs are very cool dinosaurs. Okay. Chair's kind of in the way. Thoughts on my 2 favorite sauropods, Dreadnoughtus, Camarasaurus. Dread is my absolute favorite by a country mile, by the way. Dreadnoughtus is really cool. It's one of the best known titanosaurs. And those are good picks. You know, those are solid picks. They're both really cool sauropods in their own right. Camarasaurs in particular are really interesting. Like, have you ever seen their teeth? They're kind of like spoon shaped, and they're like really wide, which is kind of interesting for sauropod teeth. Which suggests that they would eat tougher vegetation. They kind of filled that niche. Yeah, I've been getting better at like talking and building at the same time, but it's like once I get, you know, going on a thought and start talking about a specific topic, I focus on that, and then the build kind of struggles. Which is fine, you know. If we weren't building a Lego set, all I'd be doing is talking anyway, so it still makes sense. You're going to start a dinosaur toy series. Awesome. That sounds good. And it is a hot day today. I'm not going to lie. What is going on? It was like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit yesterday, the area in which I live, which is diabolical. Climate is warming. Apparently, Camarasaurus also had a pound-for-pound strongest bite of any sauropod, or that's what I've heard. I could believe it. I could definitely believe that. The Morrison Museum, rather, has a replica of its skull. So I've spent a lot of time hanging out around that skull and looking at little details, and it is like a solid skull, especially by sauropod standards. So I could certainly believe that it had a pretty strong bite, especially considering the fact that, again, it seems like it has teeth that are designed for like chopping through maybe even small branches and things like that. In fact, the sign that we have at the Morrison Museum states that it was probably like a Jurassic wood chipper, which again, I believe it. Yes, that does not sound far-fetched. Can I play Prior Extinction? I played Prior Extinction. I made one video about it. I don't know if I'll make another one. Maybe some point in the future, but I don't know. There's just a lot on my plate at the moment. But maybe sometime. And if you're talking about right now at this moment, no. This is Lego time. Maybe in the future. Can you play Jurassic Blocky tomorrow? Because Gallimimus and Brachiosaurus are getting remodeled at around 4 o'clock tomorrow. Maybe. I think I've only played Jurassic Blocky like once, and I didn't really get into it. I have an obsession with the La Colonia formation recently. That is a really cool formation, too. Who am I kidding? All formations are cool. Dinosaur formations are just, they're awesome. They are awesome. Ugh. Can we have more Creature of videos? I plan on it eventually. There's a few specific movies and shows that I'm kind of like, I have my eye on that I would like to make the Creatures of videos for. Those are really fun videos to make. In fact, in a few ways, I think that they're a little bit, they're a little bit less stressful than the many interpretations of. Because I only have to focus on one project instead of a ton of projects. Whereas with the many interpretations of, again, you have to there's a lot of projects that you have to worry about and include. And if I miss any of them, there's a ton of comments saying, hey, you forgot about this. And it's like, my stress. Please do one on Dinosaur Revolution. Good idea. That would be fun. That would be a lengthier one because it's a series with a lot of creatures. But we could. If I do that, just know that it might be a while before I actually get to that. Okay, I'm gonna place a few more pieces before I answer the next question or read the next thing. Why is it so hot? It's so hot in here. Why is it so hot? What is my favorite Asian theropod? That probably goes to, there's a lot of good, really cool Asian theropods, but I might have to give that to Ichthyovenator. What can I say? I am a Spinosaurid guy. So and Ichthyovenator is an interesting one. Especially with its possible miniaturized sail that it has going on. When you go on a trip, do you ever take one of your figures to have with you? No, I don't think I've done that yet. I leave them all here. If I ever did that, I guarantee I'd lose one. I think I lost my Apple Pen, so I've been unable to draw recently. After the last trip, I lost it on the last trip that I took to California, so it might be stuck in a tar pit somewhere or something. Eat ice. Ice is bad for your teeth. Believe me, I'm an avid ice eater. I eat ice all the time and it messed my teeth up. Don't eat ice. That's very bad. Given its pronounced sagittal crest, how strong would Irritator's neck muscles be compared to other Spinosaurids, pound for pound, and absolutely? It's also got a fairly solid skull, which might imply that it has a decently solid bite, but we don't have enough post-cranial elements to really say anything with absolute certainty. I don't think we even have much of the neck, which is something that would also kind of link into the possibility that it would use it for stronger purposes. So it could have, but it's hard to say right now. You're right. It does have a pronounced sagittal crest, which for anybody who doesn't know, that's where jaw muscles can attach to closer to the top of the skull. You can really see it pronounced on something like gorillas, which is really fun because it's just a really huge sagittal crest on gorillas, which means that they have a powerful bite, which is just a fun fact. That's just your fun fact of the day, I guess. Okay, we gotta get some of these slopes on here. I need your answer on something. What should MS Paint? What should I MS Paint next? Since I just finished my Microraptor. Well, my friend, I would say you should do. Let's do Caudipteryx, because why not? Caudipteryx is another really cool little feathered dinosaur. Noah, thank you so much for the donation, dude. You should go to the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One of my favorites. I plan on it. I don't know when. I actually have a friend who lives in that area that wanted me to go as well. And so I plan on it at some point in the future. I'm just not too sure when. I would like to go to as many museums as I possibly can. Eventually. I don't know when. This last trip kind of ruined me financially. So I gotta take it easy for a little bit. But we are going to the Field Museum within the next few weeks, which is going to be really cool. Expect to see some awesome content from that. We're going to see the fossil Pokemon exhibit. So expect some really cool videos. Also, we're going to be checking out Sereno's lab. So that'll also be really cool. Could you please make a video talking about the Machikosaurus? It's my favorite theropod. I can indeed. I'll have to add it to the list. I have a pretty extensive list right now, so I have no idea when I'll get to that, but I can certainly try to. What is my favorite Jurassic dinosaur? My favorite Jurassic dinosaur. Fantastic question. There's a few candidates, but I think one of them would have to be Ceratosaurus. It's a neat dinosaur. One of the few theropods that we know that we know of that has osteoderms, and it has like three very distinct crests. And I love crests. Crests are such a cool thing about dinosaurs in general, especially the modern day ones. What dinosaur would I realistically have as a pet? Me, I'd have a Psittacosaurus. My answer has always been Psittacosaurus, and I've always followed it up by saying, well, I mean, it would probably bite off my fingers, which is still true because Psittacosaurus and Ceratopsians in general have pretty hefty beaks. Their rostral bone is like what makes up their beak, and it's like its own structure, so it likely would have been pretty devastating. I love taco. Yeah, exactly. I dropped a piece too. Typical. Am I right? Typical. It's not the most important piece in the world, so I can find it later. Okay. When I talk about Diabloceratops. Oh, Diabloceratops is a good example of how cool ceratopsians are, if that makes sense. I like ceratopsians a lot because they have diverse head ornamentation, that includes frills and horns. They are Diabloceratops kind of exemplifies that because it's got like devil horns on its frill. The epicypitals are really eye catching, and also just these two brow horns that kind of curve out, like not necessarily out to the side, but a little bit more out here. They're cool. They're cool dinosaurs. Thoughts on Acrocanthosaurus? They're great. A North American Carcharodontosaurid, the high-spined lizard, mind you, which is very cool and obviously a pretty it's fitting description because they did have tall neural spines that would have made they would have made up a hump essentially. It wouldn't have been a sail like say on Spinosaurus or Spinosaurids in general, even though there's really not many other Spinosaurids that are known to have a large sail like Spinosaurus. But regardless, yeah, no, Acrocanthosaurus likely had more of a hump. Saurophaganax is my favorite Jurassic dinosaur. Is that the sauropod? the Diplodocid? Bestabellosaurid. I really like Carnotaurus. Carnotaurus is, I mean, like, you gotta go with the classics, right? Carnotaurus is a very fascinating Bellosaurid. Noah, thank you so much, dude. Do you think male sauropods will fight for dominance like in prehistoric kingdom? Or in prehistoric kingdom, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I wouldn't be surprised if they would. Honestly, I haven't tested it in the playtest yet, so I don't know if it's something that happens quite yet. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure that's something that happened IRL. Like I wouldn't be surprised. Was T-Rex the only theropod with binocular vision? Probably not. I don't know any off the top of my head, but most likely not. That's very unlikely that it was the only one. Binocular vision is really beneficial for just for predatory animals in general. So it was likely fairly common. Oh, did I do things wrong? Oh, I did things wrong. Well, wasn't too devastating of a mistake. Are ferns more nutritious than grass? I believe so, yes. I don't think grass is the most nutritional thing out there. The only reason why there's a lot of animals that prioritize eating grass is because there's a lot of it. And it grows fast, you know? But grass doesn't offer a lot of nutritional value, and it's incredibly hard to digest. So much so that like a lot of animals had to adapt in specific ways just to eat it. And it's also just very tough. Like it wears down teeth incredibly quickly. Like a lot of grazing animals had to adapt in certain ways to combat that as well. Like horses, for example, just have really long teeth. That way their teeth can just wear down over time, and they wouldn't lose their teeth too quickly. Grass is rough. One of the only reasons why it's ever used or eaten is because there's a lot of it. You know, it's a plentiful food source. So I think that ferns probably offer more nutritional value than grass does. Oh, I almost did on the wrong side, too. That would have been embarrassing. Why did the stream start at the start for me? Made me think it was over. Oh, I have no idea why I did that. That's weird. That's interesting. By the way, how's it going, Pokesaurus? Good to see you, dude. Long time no see. I gotta make my way to the museum one of these days. Thoughts on Allosaurus? How can you not like Allosaurus? It's one of the most iconic theropods, period. Not even just of the Jurassic period. It was fairly abundant, too, which I think is interesting. Like, we found a lot of Allosaurus fossils in the Morrison Formation. So that might imply that they were relatively successful, or maybe it implies that there's a bias towards Allosaurus fossils. Will you ever make a video featuring Basilosaurus or prehistoric whales in general? Yeah, at some point. Not too sure when, but at some point. Thanks, man. I'm doing fine. Good to hear. Good to hear, dude. Missed you at Sloth Night. Yeah. No, I wasn't able to go this time. I'm going to try to go next month if they're doing it next month. But as of right now, it's just been busy. What do you think of the Jurassic World Rebirth DLC for Evolution 3? Oh, it's great. There's a lot of cool things that they added. My favorite things have to be like the Spinosaurus skin and the T-Rex skin. I think that those are really neat. T-Rex is pretty cool too. It's just wild that there's that it's in the game now. It's too hot. If you watched Prehistoric Planet, what was your favorite episode? Oh, I have no idea. I really like the deserts episode from like the first season. I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know. It's hard to choose a favorite, if I'm being honest. When will Allosauridae get another member other than Allosaurus? Everything either gets absorbed by Allosaurus or just gets invalidated. Who knows? Who knows? Only time will answer that question. Will you ever talk about or make a Pyroraptor video? I think I plan on making one soon. Pyroraptor's a tricky one to talk about because it's fragmentary, first of all, and it lives in an area with another dromaeosaur called Velociraptor. And Velociraptor is also incredibly fragmentary. The problem that I have with these two raptors is that none of the fossils we have overlap. As in, there's no fossils that we can compare to see if they're different genera. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them got synonymized in the future, if I'm being honest. I'm kind of careful when talking about them. I like that they made the Rebirth Spino and Rex body styles and not just locked to those skins. Yeah, I agree. I like that you can also give them, basically what you were saying. I like that you can give them different colors and whatnot. I wish you could do that with the can't think of their names, the hybrids, like the D-Rex and the Mutodon. I thought that would have been neat. Thoughts on Scorpio Venator? The best is Belisord in my opinion. Since it's I said Avinion, not you. Since it's the best preserved, recently large, and decently large. I think it might be larger than Carno, and it lived in a glorious formation. I don't know too much about Scorpio Venator, but I know it has a fairly complete skull, I think. At least a decent skull. Pretty cool. Say that. Do I think the Velociraptor would have made a pretty good Thanksgiving turkey? Maybe. Do I have an AC? In the living room we do. Not in my office. I just have fans. And it is hot in Colorado nowadays. Would a sixth mass extinction caused by humans rival the likes of KPG and the Great Dying? I'm not sure about the Great Dying, but it wouldn't be pretty. What we're seeing right now is that animals are just simply not able to adapt quick enough. The climate is changing at an incredibly fast rate because of all of the CO2 that we're pumping into the atmosphere. And so we're likely going to be losing a lot of species as a result of that, which is very sad. What dinosaur skeleton should Lego do next? Spinosaurus. I think that would be fun. I'm not biased or anything. Could you explain the other aspects of the mass extinctions beyond statistics? You said the instantaneous nature of the KPG makes it rival the longer Great Dying. Yeah, the KPG extinction is unique in the fact that it like to some extent it was gradual, but it was instant. There was one thing that occurred that caused a lot of events to happen very quickly, and that of course was the asteroid impact in the Yucatan Peninsula. A lot of animals went extinct from that instant impact, and a lot of animals went extinct in a relatively short amount of time after the fact, even if it took centuries for it to happen. Whereas something like the Great Dying, it was a terrible mass extinction that saw the extinction of like over 90% of all life on Earth, but it was a gradual process that, some animals were able to adapt quick enough to. It's actually a little bit of a miracle that a lot of animals were able to adapt to the quick nature of the KPG. So, that's one of the things. Like the KPG is just a very unique extinction. That's one of my gripes that I have with the Dinosaurs, the Netflix series, is that the way that they portrayed the other mass extinctions, it was kind of like every extinction was like the KPG, where it was just like one big explosion happened and then a lot of animals died quickly, which obviously is not what happened. Why did Shantungosaurus get so large in the first place? Well, they likely had room in the niche. It's hard to say exactly, but there's a lot of reasons why animals can get large in a given environment. A lot of the reason is because there's an abundance of resources that they can quickly adapt to. And hadrosaurs in general they're big animals. They got to be pretty big, so it was only inevitable that you would get one as large as Shantungosaurus. Today's surviving Earth will be on the Triassic. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Ishigualastia. What does the 128 mean in your name? It was the first three letters, first three numbers of my student ID number. That's it. It's, I included it because it's different from 123. Since every time I make an account, Dino Guy by itself is taken. Yeah, it was the student ID number that I had growing up. Like from kindergarten. That's when we get a student ID? No. First grade, maybe? First grade? Onward? Why did European sauropods get so small? I don't know, actually. I don't have a solid answer for that. Probably the opposite of what I explained with the Shantungosaurus. Okay, 1 second real quick. Alrighty. What's my favorite ceratopsian? Pachyrhinosaurus. I love those guys. What's my least favorite Jurassic Park / Jurassic World design? Well, there's a few candidates. I really don't like the Quetzalcoatlus from Rebirth. I just don't. Especially after we got the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus. And yes, I understand the in-universe explanation for why that Quetzalcoatlus looks so different from the one we saw in Dominion. But doesn't mean I have to like the design. What bag am I on? Bag 18. In fact, we're almost done with bag 18. These bags are getting smaller and smaller, so that tells me that we're close to being done. I'm gonna get as far as I possibly can. When you're giving a tour, does any of the visitors recognize you as Dino Guy? I've had a few. Yeah, a few people have recognized me as Dino Guy, which is always such a wild experience. It's the whole concept of like somebody knowing who you are, but of course you don't know who they are. It's always really interesting, but I'm always flattered, of course. I'm never against people saying hi to me and whatnot. What even is a student ID? I don't know. It was something they gave us. We had to it was for our lunches mostly, and also to log into the computers. You like type it in to get like when you're going to get lunch, you type it in, and then you get your lunch. Or when you're logging onto a computer to do work, you have to like type in your student ID. It's only something I had from grades 1 to 12, and then it vanishes. It's gone forever. It's no longer a part of my identity. Your high school had student IDs? Yeah. Yeah, I kept mine since since first grade all the way up until high school. Yeah, I need this. I need this fan in a better position. I am dying. Oh, that's much better. Oh yeah, it's right here, right here. I'm not dying as much anymore. Uh, have I seen King and Queen of One Piece? They have dinosaur themed abilities. Technically, King is a pterosaur, but still, I have not. I've never watched One Piece. All right, let's see. So I got all of these. I'm gonna place these on the bottom. Putting more chevrons onto the bottom of the tail. There we go. More chevrons on the tail. I assume we're going to connect it. Yeah, I assume correctly. If Captain Gut from Ice Age was a dinosaur, or Ice Age 4 was a dinosaur, what dinosaur would he be? For me, I'd say Gigantoraptor. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's different from yours. I don't know. Maybe a Megaraptorid. That'd be fun. Okay. Like that, and then all right. Tail's almost complete as well. What is that thing in front of your Argentinosaurus? It's not in front of it. It is behind it, but it's a replica of a Stegosaurus plate. I got it from Dinosaur Journey. I thought it was neat. Okay. We are officially on to bag 19, and it is still hot, but at least I got cool air. What is my favorite Jurassic Park / Jurassic World design other than Spino? The Carnotaurus isn't bad. I think that's a fairly good one, and I like the Pachyrhinosaurus. I thought they did pretty good with that one. All right, I'm gonna grab the bag real quick. Why do you think we haven't found a large theropod in Australia so far? I have no idea. I've never thought of that topic. Put Dino Strikers on your bottle or stickers. I've considered it. I've never quite done that because I always have a habit of damaging or losing my water bottles. And I don't want anything to happen to some stickers that I get from museums and whatnot. But I likely will at some point. Have you heard of Broken Jaw, the Allosaurus from Dinosaur Revolution? Yes. I think I've actually made a whole video about him before. It's very cool. Very cool. I like the idea of like building an Allosaur around a pathology like a broken jaw, which is something that we have found on Allosaurus before, and on an Allosaurus fragilis specimen. Okay, building more of the tail. Is Big Al a legend? Absolutely. I hope Surviving Earth gets re-edited when it comes to streaming. The TV pacing was very noticeable. Unfortunately, it has not, because it is on Peacock, which is technically a streaming service, and it's still edited the same way. Which, like I mentioned in my first review, is one of my biggest criticisms of the show, which is, it's obviously not against the TV folks, but it's just a little bit unfortunate that the pacing kind of messes with it. Why did the Netflix dinosaurs use Dominion spikes? 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 You mean, like, for the, Allosaurus? Probably because it was the same model that was tweaked. I think that's actually what they said happened. What prey options would Carcharodontosaurus be hindered on based on its hunting style? Well, too large of sauropods for one, and too small of animals for another. It would likely go after things that are more so in the medium size range. But I don't have exact numbers, unfortunately. Is it Big Al or Big Alice, or is Al the shortened version? It's officially Big Al, but a lot of people call it Big Alice because there might be medullary bone tissue present in the specimen, which would mean that Big Al is actually a female. The reason why we reached that conclusion is because the Big Al specimen, or medullary, okay, I should explain it. Medullary bone tissue is essentially just like this tissue that develops when an animal, like when birds, for example, are getting ready to lay eggs or have just laid them. If medullary bone tissue is present with Big Al, that means that she was likely pregnant with eggs, or she had already laid eggs at the point of her death. So a lot of people call her Big Alice in reference to the fact that the Big Al specimen is likely just a female. But it's not like the official nickname. Big Al is still the nickname that was given the specimen. But it's also just a nickname, so, do you think the name Brutornis could be a valid name if someone names a new species of the terror bird in the future? Maybe. I'm not too familiar with the taxon. What dinosaur do you want to see in the end of Oak Street? I have no idea, honestly. I don't even know what to expect from this movie. I'm just ready to see what creatures they give us. I don't really have any expectations for any creatures that I would like to see. Most of the creatures that are making an appearance are, they're solid enough. If we were sticking, like, if they were actually sticking to a single time period like the Jurassic, I'd be saying things like, oh, give us Torvosaurus and whatnot. But since we saw Spinosaurus in the new TV spot, something tells me that they're just going with popular, relatively popular dinosaurs. Which is fine, it makes sense. What did they do to my boy Big Al? He isn't a boy now? Well, Big Al is likely a female. If medullary bone tissue is present, then yes, Big Al is definitely a female. That's just paleontology. That's just what happens. We find new things that help our understanding of these long extinct animals. And it's always really cool when we can potentially determine the sex of a dinosaur, because that's not something you could typically do. You need very ideal conditions for that to happen. Which Allosaurus do you prefer, Gemetsini or Fragilis? I might have to say Fragilis, but they're both amazing. Allosaurus is Allosaurus. To quote Mr. Incredible, Allosaurus is Allosaurus. It's just a cool dinosaur. I have a question. If a species of parent like the macaw were left on an island with no predators for thousands of years, would they become larger and flightless like the terror birds? Probably. Well, maybe. I mean, of course, it depends on certain environmental constraints, but we did see that very same thing with the dodo bird, because dodos, they are basically like a type of pigeon, but they were isolated to the island of Mauritius. Over time, there was no predatory animals, and of course, eventually they became, larger and flightless because there was no reason for them to fly around. So the same, I mean, there is a type of parrot. that happened to. What is it called? The kakapo parrot, I believe. That's also, it was on the, and the Heracles parrot was also large and flightless. Kanadi. Kanadi, thank you so much for the donation. Sending some virtual ice and cool air. Thank you. Might have to end the stream early today, and I gotta like buy a freaking AC for this office because this year's heat is bad. They were, it's as predicted. Of course, the summers are gonna get worse every year, I'm sure. This Colorado heat is something, but it's not as hot as it was yesterday, which is pretty nice. Yesterday, I don't know who was here for when I said this, but yesterday it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here where I live, which is just nasty. We're making good progress, though. Proud of myself. Proud of myself here. Thanks to global warming, right? The thing that nobody believes, or at least people who, a huge majority of people don't believe, even though they could realistically feel it every year. What's your opinion on Answers in Genesis saying that birds aren't dinosaurs? I don't know who Answers in Genesis is, but I think I got some idea based off of that name. I don't know. It's just you can't evolve out of a clay. There's I don't know what else to tell you. Birds are dinosaurs very much the same way that we are still mammals, even though we're very different from a mouse. Goofballs don't believe you. Exactly. Goofballs. It's a good word. Goofballs don't believe. Okay. What the heck was that? Something fell. I don't much appreciate it. Those podcasts of people saying dinosaurs never existed make me want to lose so many brain cells. Yeah, they're rough. They're always rough. They always say the same tired arguments that make no sense. Like, no sense at all if they even did an iota of research. I'm sure a lot of them are just simply saying it because a lot of these podcast channels specialize in making clips that can be shared around the internet. So they like to have those little sound bites where it's like one guy, like, say, believes in dinosaurs, and then the other guy doesn't believe in dinosaurs, so they can get into a funny argument. And, like, I'm sure most of it is planned out, but it's no less frustrating. And the problem still lies there that there are people who do think like that. Okay, I'm trying to get caught up. Sorry about that. Thoughts on Verombe Titan, the actual largest bird, not those frauds, Epiornis or Dinornis. I've never heard of that, if I'm being honest. You ate mammoth bacon this morning. Well, it's not very nice. Uh, have you seen Clint's Reptiles videos on Ultimate Rumble Kids books? Oh yeah, absolutely. Those are fun. Those are fun books, or fun. The books are interesting, but the videos are fun. Thoughts on the Lego the Lego Triceratops skeleton, and will you be getting it? Maybe. I don't like it as much as the T-Rex, if I'm being honest. T-Rex is not like the T-Rex is very good. The Triceratops, it's not bad, but it's just like the skull kind of throws me off for some reason. What do you think of Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong? Oh, great channel, fantastic channel, really. I recommend watching them if you somehow don't. They've been making videos for a while too. I was still in high school when they were making videos. Coelophysis and the end of Oak Street could actually be Osteoraptor. I've seen a lot of people saying that. I don't buy it. If it is an Osteoraptor, it's a terrible design. I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that it's Coelophysis, because the skull looks like Coelophysis. It has a long noodle neck like Coelophysis. The body shape looks like Coelophysis. It's oversized, but so is the Allosaurus in the movie. So I think it's Coelophysis. I really don't. I'm really not buying Ostroraptor. I know Ostroraptor. That ain't Ostroraptor. Ostroraptor is one of my favorite dinosaurs, period. I know what that guy's snout looks like. And again, if it is Ostroraptor, then it's not a very good design. You know, it's just, it doesn't resemble the animal much. I think it's supposed to be the Coelophysis too. Yeah, I'm convinced. Especially now that we've seen a Spinosaurus. I think that we're getting like a mixture of a lot of different time periods here. Because again, it looks a lot like a Coelophysis. Just a big one. A big one. A very big one. Who would win in a fight? Broken Jaw Allosaurus or Ceratosaurus JP3? Well, the JP3 Ceratosaurus was pretty big, so maybe I'll say that one. It's got some beef to it. What's a good time for you and me and I to chat about our project? Well, good question. You could probably try to reach me this Monday, I think. Maybe. I got a lot going on, so I'm not too sure when, but yeah, I'll probably message you. And just message me whenever you're free and we can figure something out. What is the most successful dinosaur of the Triassic period? All of them. I don't know, honestly. There was a lot of Coelophysis found, but I think one of the reasons why there's a lot of them is because drought brought them together. So it's hard to say. The JP3 Ceratosaurus was stated to be able to compete with the bull T-Rex we saw in the film. Dang, no kidding. I didn't know that. Pokesaurus and Dino Guy doing a project. Heck yeah. It's going to be really cool. By the way, everybody, you know my the Goof Troop video with the Velociraptor in the episode? It was Pokesaurus who found that. It's freaking amazing, isn't it? It's like one of my favorite pieces of Disney trivia now. I hope they give a good reason for mixing dinosaurs from different time periods. That's the hope. I assume it's a time travel situation. At least that's my assumption going into this. That's how La Brea is. La Brea was a movie that took place in the Pleistocene, of course, or a show that took place in the Pleistocene. And it started off like that. It made sense, you know. It was the La Brea tar pits. Eventually, in season 3, dinosaurs show up. And the reason why dinosaurs show up is because more time portals opened up at different time periods and brought them there. So hopefully it's a similar situation in the end of Oak Street, which probably they already got brought back. Like the humans already got brought back in time. Who's to say Spinosaurus didn't get brought back in time, or the Coelophysis got brought forward in time? Was my favorite Lego set in the world. This kingfisher. This fella. This guy. Isn't it beautiful? It's amazing. I love kingfishers. So yeah, this one. All right. What's up with all the hats in your videos? What are you talking about? The hats that I wear? There is a reason why I wear a hat. I'm just not going to reveal it until a certain subscriber milestone or something. I don't know. Gonna keep that mystery. I feel like the raptor in the end of Oak Street is probably just a plain old velociraptor. Jeez, I hope not. Again, though, skeletally, it just looks too much like Coelophysis to not be Coelophysis. And I'm sure there's a good chance that I'm wrong. You know, movie studios often take their own creative liberties, but they already put feathers on it. Who's to say they didn't do something else that makes a little bit more sense? I hope we get Ceratosaurus in the end of Oak Street. I missed that dude. That would be cool. Again, another thing that I would hope for if this was actually taking place in a single time period. And I kind of wish they were sticking to a single time period. I kind of wish that they were just, because mixing time periods makes it feel like you kind of got, you, you know, I don't know how else to explain it. If you just stuck to one time period, you can try to take creative routes with the creatures that you have available. Like, I would like to see what methods they would use to tell the story, I guess. I don't know, while sticking to one location. Bringing in dinosaurs from different time periods kind of makes it feel like, oh, we want Allosaurus, but we want Spinosaurus too because it's popular. Let's throw it in. I don't know. I'm excited for the movie. Don't get me wrong. But what's your favorite Lego set in the whole world? I just answered that. I showed you the Kingfisher and everything. I held it to the screen like right here. Do you think the Spinosaurus from End of Oak Street could be Australopithecus? Oh man, Australopithecus, the bane of my existence. No, I definitely don't think it is. First of all, we don't even know if Australopithecus is a Spinosaurid. It's known from teeth. It's only known from teeth. That's it. It's not, and they're not like, they're teeth that are kind of like Spinosaurid teeth, but also kind of not like Spinosaurid teeth. Or it might even just be a single tooth. I can't remember, but we don't know if Australopithecus was actually a Spinosaurid. And I seriously doubt that the filmmakers would include something like that. Like, it would be cool if they decided to include like an early Spinosaurid that recently branched off from Megalosauroidea. That would be very cool. But I don't think they would do that. I think if they wanted to include a Spinosaurid, they would simply just include the Spinosaurid, the one that everybody knows about, because that's the popular one. So no, I don't think it's Australopithecus or I don't think it's a Jurassic Spinosaurid. Plus, if it was a Jurassic Spinosaurid, it would look too much like a derived Spinosaurid, like a Cretaceous Spinosaurid. Jurassic Spinosaurids probably looked a little bit more like Megalosaurids, because that's when they branched off from Megalosauroidea. So there probably wouldn't be much of a difference between the way that they looked. I mean, obviously there would be some distinguishing features, but it's just, I don't think they would look like a Spinosaurus, That's just my thing. And obviously, again, this is a movie, and they probably weren't thinking about most of those things when they were making it, which is another reason why I think it's a Spinosaurus. Thoughts on Dynamo Terror, aka the most ridiculously named theropod of all time? I've heard of it. Don't know much of it, though. There are raptor people in Star Wars? Yes, there are. I actually have like an alien species book that has them in it. Do you know where surviving Earth is going to be in Latin America? Do you know? No, I don't, unfortunately. Did Tyrannosaurus technically have a third finger? Yes, it was just extremely reduced. Very small, very tiny. So tiny that you would not see it in real life. But it was there. Okay. I got distracted there for a second. I'm going to add a few more pieces, and then, of course, I'll continue reading some more. Apparently the next upcoming episode of Dinosaurius series is going to be about the fighting dinosaurs fossil. That's what I've heard, yeah. What would say is the coolest dinosaur? Me personally, it's Pyroraptor. Me personally, I'd say Spinosaurus. But I want to tell you that when I was young, I thought Dimorphodon was just a pterodactyl, but with a T-Rex head. That is, I guess that's a kind of a fair conclusion to reach. When I was in kindergarten, when I was, around 5 years old, I didn't know how to pronounce a lot of dinosaur names. And so a lot of them I would just call like Spinosaurus, for example. I called it a T-Rex with a horn on its back because I didn't know what a sail was either. Or Ceratosaurus, I would call it a T-Rex with a horn on its nose. Kids are funny like that. Kids are really funny like that. Do you think that the Spino family has lips or not? I do. I do think they did. Dude, Cryolophosaurus is right there, peak Neotheropod. It's very cool. It's a very cool dinosaur. Can't wait to see Dead Sound do Velociraptor. Oh yeah, that's gonna be cool. Everything's a horn. When you boil it all down, everything is a horn. Okay. Add a few more pieces. We're making good progress. I went through a few, we're almost done with the tail. In fact, I think this is the last bit of the tail, and then we'll move on to the head. Maybe we'll just do the head in the final live stream of this. That actually sounds like a pretty decent way to go. Paleontologist is every paleontologist. The he skinned to me. Spinosaurus is paleontologist's nightmare to study. It's a fun one to study, I'm not gonna lie. Keeps you on your toes. Do you think the Spino family had lips or not? Hey, didn't I answer you already? I do think they had lips. Yeah, I do. I think that they most likely did. Do you think the Spino family had lips? Oh, dude, you're just spamming by this point. Don't do that. Don't do that. Hey. Okay. Moving on. I knew it. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I see. What is my least favorite dinosaur? I don't know. My least favorite dinosaur doesn't exist. I don't really have a dinosaur that I dislike, if I'm being honest. I always say seagulls, but I still like seagulls. They're just probably towards the bottom of the list. And that's all because I have a funny story of me being chased by them in Padre Island, Texas in 2008. That's the main reason. I don't hate them or anything. They're still very cool dinosaurs, but, you know, seagulls are at the bottom, I think. After the paper you guys talked about in the podcast, I'm drawing all my theropods with lips now, sauropods too. Yeah, that paper especially kind of, it adds another nail to the coffin of the idea that these guys did not have lips. It just really seems like modern day crocodilians are the weird ones for not having lips. Because Archosauria as a whole probably had them. You know, it's pretty likely. All right, we are making good progress, my friends. We are making very good progress. I thought ichthyosaurs, when I was younger, was a prehistoric dolphin. That is a fair assumption. In a lot of ways, they are. It's a good example of convergent evolution, which is what convergent evolution, for those of you who don't know, is basically when two animals that are not really that closely related to each other evolve similar traits. Ichthyosaurs and dolphins are a fantastic example. They evolved similar traits, like a similar body plan, similar sort of bottle noses and dorsal fins and things like that, but they're not that closely related to each other. Ichthyosaurs are reptiles, distantly related from mammals which of course is what dolphins are. You gotta love convergent evolution. How's the build going? It's going great. Making pretty good progress, I think. I think we're almost done with the tail, which is good progress in my book with how slow it's been going. It's just so hard to talk and build at the same time. My brain just can't handle it. Paleontologists are a paleontologist nightmare. Yeah. It's kind of a dramatic field, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the debates get a little bit ridiculous. What is your opinion? Oops, that disappeared from me. What is your opinion on the PNSO articulated T-Rex? Oh, don't you know? I love it. It is a really nice figure, honestly. It's based off of Sue, fun fact, which most Tyrannosaur figures seem to be based off of Sue. Makes sense. Sue is one of the most complete. Man, it's beautiful. Look at that. It has lips and everything. The articulations are pretty nice. Obviously, with it being PNSO's first figure, the articulations are not anything too crazy, but I think they did a solid job with it. Just look at that. Very nice figure. I like it. I like it very much. Could Spinosaurus mirabilis be a smaller, younger male with sexual dimorphism to Spinosaurus aegypticus? It's probably not an example of sexual dimorphism in Aegypticus because there's too many other skeletal differences for it to be chalked up to sexual dimorphism, like the differences in teeth and other such things. Could the mirabilis specimen we found be an example of sexual dimorphism in mirabilis? Maybe, but we don't have enough data for it. All I know is that sexual dimorphism was ruled out as something that this is probably not an example of dimorphism in Aegypticus. Mirabilis is like a second species. Didn't phytosaurs have lips? Yep. The study also found that phytosaurs most likely had lips as well. Opinion on Poposaurus. Oh, Poposaurus is a great example of, it looks like a dinosaur, but it's not a dinosaur. I love those guys. Poposaurus, it looks a lot like a dinosaur, but it is on the croc lineage, which means it is more closely related to modern day crocodiles than it is to dinosaurs. You gotta love the Triassic because of those things. Like the closer you get to the common ancestor between the Dinosauria and further back to Pseudotsuchia, the more similar a lot of these animals look, which kind of makes it tricky to identify specific animals. Do you have a thing that when a tail is shorter than the body and head, you get in an outrage? I'm not too sure. I think people should be scared of Pachyrhinosaurus because I believe just because an animal prefers plants over meat does not mean that they are not capable of putting your insides on the outside. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's crazy to say at all. In fact, I'd be a lot more terrified to run into the herbivorous dinosaurs than I would be the carnivorous ones if I happened to make a time machine. Because herbivorous animals are like in a constant state of survival most of the time, and if you just even if you get a little bit too close, then you're seen as a threat, and then you could potentially be killed. You don't want that. Would it be cool if they made a figure of your Spinosaurus? Oh, that'd be so cool. You have no idea. I'd be so flippin' happy about that. All right, we're doing good, guys. We are doing good. I'm missing a slow piece. Oh no, I'm not. Cool. I'd still prefer to run into an herbivore than a carnivore. I wouldn't. I would not. You can convince a carnivore that you're not worth the effort. Once a herbivore wants to take you out, there's really not much you can do. That's why they often say that moose are more dangerous than bears. Hippos are the most dangerous animals in Africa. Herbivores are no joke. What's my opinion on Euparkeria? Euparkeria is an interesting little dude. It's an evolutionary cousin, I believe. It's like decently related to archosaurs, but not really quite a true archosaur itself. So it's decently related to dinosaurs and pterosaurs and crocodilians. It's an interesting little dude. I don't know too much about it, but yeah. What do I think Spinosaurus sounded like? I don't know. I think that at least to some degree, it's made a lot of low grumbles and hisses. I think that makes sense for larger theropod dinosaurs. Oh, there it is. Do we know if dinosaurs had something like ticks or fleas? Probably. I haven't read about anything about it myself, though. My favorite dinosaur is Spinosaurus. What kind of organ does an animal have in order to roar? Typically a larynx. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I'm not just staring blankly. There is proof of dinosaurs having fleas. There you go. Could modern mammals exist in the Cretaceous? Probably not. A lot of their niches would have been filled, and there'd be intense competition, so it'd be very difficult for them to make it, per se. Of course, speculative evolution or speculative topics are not really my forte, but that's my take on it. Thoughts on Stan, my favorite Tyrannosaurus specimen, and seemingly everyone's because he's the one they've probably seen. Yeah, he's my favorite too, because he is, of course, we have a replica at the Morrison Museum. Stan's amazing. It's one of the most complete T-Rex skulls out there, and because he's so complete, he can offer some insight about how Tyrannosaurus lived in life. In the way that there's a lot of pathologies, like there's a lot of holes in his skull. Some might have been caused by parasites, and some might have been caused by another Tyrannosaur taking a bite out of Stan. It's just really neat stuff. He's also huge. He's a big T-Rex. What's my favorite extinct mammal? That's a lot. I have a lot of favorite extinct mammals. We'll say Paraceratherium right now. At the moment, Paraceratherium. Is Stan the reference material for Rexy or another specimen? Well, I don't know for Rexy specifically, but if you're talking about like I don't know who the reference material for Rexy is, honestly. But the Jurassic Park logo is actually based off of AMNH 5027, I believe. One of the ways you can tell is because one of the pterygoid bones are kind of like deformed a little bit and kind of creates a little bit of an arch in the fenestra. And you can see that in the thing. You think it's Sue for Rexy? I wouldn't be surprised about that. I wouldn't be surprised if most Tyrannosaurs in media are based off of Sue because of how complete she is. Is Rexy a woman or a man? Well, Rexy is a female in the franchise. Opinion on 2 Medicine formation? It's fantastic. A lot of amazing dinosaurs to be found there. Have I watched Jurassic World by Digital Duck yet? Yeah, I did. I did. It was a fun watch. That's for sure. It was also, it's one of those fun concept short films. Okay. I'm so close to being done with this bag. I'm just gonna speed run it real quick. Like that. What? Oh, I put it in the wrong spot, of course. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I put it in the wrong spot? What do you mean think of Allosaurus anax? What do I mean think about what? What do I what? 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 I thought Ember was a male. Yeah, the rebirth T-Rex is a male. I don't know what everybody's talking about, but okay. That is the tip of the tail. It's not the tip of the iceberg, that is the tip of the tail. Right there. What? Why do I have so many extra pieces? Did I miss something? Why are there so many extra pieces here? Why'd they give me so many extra pieces? Oh. Oh, yeah, the chevrons on the last one. Okay, well, that's an easy fix. But what about those ones, though? Chevrons and the neural spines as well. Okay. Whew, man, I thought I was going to throw up if I wasn't going to be able to find this. Yeah, I was looking a little bit bare. How am I missing so many pieces when they don't fall? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Uh, what's the oldest fossil specimen that we fossil specimen? I'm not too sure, honestly, but it's likely very old. God dang it! That is frustrating. Okay. And then the bottom side right there. Yeah, we certainly need these chevrons. Is Godzilla really just a T-Rex with Stegosaurus placed on its back? To some degree, probably. I think in large part, Godzilla's design was based off of three main dinosaurs, one of those being Tyrannosaurus Rex, another one being Iguanodon, and another one being Stegosaurus, creating the creature that you see in those original Japanese films. Headcanon. Adult T-Rex sometime get confused random Nanotyrannus with one of their juvenile T-Rex. That's a fun concept. Okay. All right, and then put this bar in here, and then that is the tail. That is a long tail, but a tail nonetheless. All right, everybody, here is our progress. Right here. All that we have left is the head, and I assume the last few boxes are going to be just that. We're just going to be working on the head. So we will try to finish this next week. The tail moves. Look at that. That's fun. Yeah, we'll try to finish this next week. That is our ultimate goal. Because I'm not going to finish it today because it's just hot in here, and I need to figure out a way to cool down this room. So we're just going to spend a little time just talking, I guess. I'll just speak with you guys for a little bit. But yeah, it's looking great. I'm actually really happy with it. I think that they did a pretty darn good job overall. Aside from like a few nitpicks here or there, it's a fairly accurate recreation of a T-Rex skeleton. And obviously it's Lego, which is something that you can keep in mind when trying to look at how this was reconstructed, but it's pretty good. Tomorrow's your last day of school? Oh, beautiful. I actually went to see the Naga Titans dig site in late May. I actually saw some of its actual ribcage fossils, and when I was at the dig site. Sweet, that's awesome. Is my profile picture a T-Rex with a horn on its back? Yes. What is my favorite back to sea journey? I'm not familiar with that. It's a T-Rex with a normal back. Yeah, T-Rex with a normal back. It's not going to have a horn on its nose either. Did sauropods actually live in herds? Probably. Did sauropods not have beaks? That recent paper brought up that topic on whether or not sauropods had beaks. And it seems like sauropods had lips. It seems like they didn't have beaks. They didn't have exposed teeth. They likely just had lips. Can I do a series called The Many Inspirations, like how MonsterVerse Godzilla has nails like that of sauropods? Does it? I didn't know that. Maybe, maybe. I'm not too sure how successful I'd be at that, but I could potentially try. The ribs still look too wide, even from the front perspective. During one of your other streams, it looked off, but I thought it was just the perspective. It just seems off a little bit. Too wide? I mean, kind of. It's very barrel chested, which is very similar to Sue, for example. She's extremely barrel chested. So I'm not really gonna dock that as an inaccurate thing. Have we found any Asian Spinosaurids? Yes, one of them is Ichthyovenator, one of my favorites. The many interpretations of, maybe our project could be the start of that. Yeah, maybe. Or inspirations. Did I just say interpretations? I think I did. Yeah, it probably could, yeah. How big is the Lego T-Rex? You don't really get the scale on stream. I don't know where my measuring tape is. I guess I got a little bit of a, like, my phone comes with a, I don't know how good it is at measuring, but it comes with like a measuring app. So I'll try to measure it with that. From the tip of the tail to right there, it is 3 feet 1 inch. So we'll probably be looking at like 3.5 feet when the full thing is completed. It's pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look as large in the stream, but here's what a 6'2" dude looks like holding it, I suppose. It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be quite as large as it is. All right, let me pull up the stream again. Fun fact. Did you know that outside of Naga Titan, there are also 3 other species of sauropods that were discovered in Southeast Asia as well? I did not know that. Am I still practicing paleo art? Yes, whenever I can. I haven't had as much time recently, but whenever I get the opportunity, I certainly try to do that. Have you seen all of the overexertion images of your video with you saying all birds are bipedal? Yeah, I've seen those. All birds are bipedal, am I right? Do you think the shark from Jaws was being an animal even though it killed a lot of people in the movie? I mean, probably to some extent, right? Like, it was just hungry, eating things. A lot of those things happened to be people that were splashing around. You drew a Ceratosaurus recently. Beautiful. Love to hear it. We are stuck. I'm going to try to scroll up. Sorry about that. I really want the many interpretations of the extinction of dinosaurs. I've thought of that one before. Like, people have recommended that before, and I've thought it was a very fun concept. Folks have also requested like the many interpretation of formations, like the Hell Creek formation or the Morrison formation, and I also think that's a fun idea. But I don't know if I'll get to it quite yet. Maybe at some point, but I'm not too sure yet. I'm trying to learn how to draw paleo art recently. Beautiful. That's what I like to hear. I challenge you to draw a Steminosuchus. That's a fun one. Opinion on Silosuchus. I don't know if I know much about Silosuchus. Sounds like a Pseudotsuchian, which are not my area of expertise. Remember when a person on TikTok said ancient aliens changed the name dragons to dinosaurs? Yeah, that was goofy. That was so goofy. That gave me a headache. that was like one of the most frustrating videos that I had ever made, all because of comments like that. It was wild. By the way, me too. I recently finished an Age of Medsonite art. Oh, beautiful. That sounds awesome. Oh, my Apple Pen just arrived. Perfect. I can start drawing again. I just got the notification. Nice. To my previous question, by the way, the three other sauropods in question are Fuingosaurus from Thailand, Tangvaosaurus from Laos, and Isanosaurus from Thailand also. Oh, beautiful. Are you watching the World Cup, Dini? I know you meant to say Dino, and yeah, I see that you corrected it. It's just, are you watching the World Cup, Dini? But no, I'm not. I don't watch the football too frequently. And the reason why I called it football and not soccer is because I know that there's people from other countries in the stream. If you actually look at the real artwork made of dragons back then, they were believed they look nothing like dinosaurs. Exactly, but they don't look that far into it. All those miscommunication videos bother me. They're bad. They're just bad videos. Some people shouldn't be saying things like that. What's my favorite paleontology book? I have a lot of good paleontology books, but one of the classics is The Dinosaur Heresies by Robert Bakker. A lot of the principles of paleontology were set up by Robert Bakker, and a lot of them are still like, not paleontology, but like how to identify a dinosaur. And a lot of them are still used today. Do you think that leopard geckos could be related to dinosaurs? In a reptile sort of sense, yes, but geckos are a completely different group entirely, completely separate from archosaurs like dinosaurs. So they're not that closely related. Is a paleontologist's worst nightmare a paycheck? Probably. There's not a lot of money in it. Fun fact, the formation that Naga Titan called Croat Formation and the Ichthyovenator as Superis Formation, I think that's how you spell the formation itself, are actually equivalents. I did not know that. Is Bruhathkaiosaurus still valid? I don't know. I don't look into it because it was always a tricky animal to both look into and talk about. So you got me. Maybe, maybe not. There's ancient art of a dragon that had the head of a wolf and body of a lion, and wings like a bat, a far cry from a velociraptor. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the biggest things that people don't understand about old dragon stories is that more times than not, they are like based off of local fauna, like local creatures. Like a lot of a lot of Chinese dragons were mainly based off of like local alligators and snakes as opposed to dinosaurs. It's frustrating stuff. Why are you frozen, phone? It's probably because it's hot in here. Favorite non-Asdarchid pterosaur? A Neurognathus. I really like a Neurognathus. I think that they're really cool animals. I'm up in Washington, D.C., visiting the Smithsonian Museum. Lucky. Have you seen the false documentary Dragon World? It's pretty good. Yes, I actually have it on DVD. I think it's a fun documentary. There's one dragon that's a lion with a turtle shell, still waiting for ancient aliens to start saying Bowser was real. Do you think that we'll see pterosaurs and flying reptiles in Prehistoric Kingdom? Maybe at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually did that. What paper were you talking about earlier? If you're referring to like the oral tissue paper, let me see if I can pull it up. Let me get the exact paper right here. If that's the paper you're referring to, I'm gonna assume it is. Where did I save it, is the question. Is Portuguese Torvosaurus bigger than North America Torvosaurus? Probably. I believe so, yes. Where did I save this paper? Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to find this paper real quick. There it is. Yeah, it was a paper that was published in Paleontology. Inferred presence of extraoral tissue in Triassic archosauromorphs and the evolutionary implications for the clade Sauropsida. It's a very good paper. Very good read. Recommend it. I'm going to pull Google back. I gotta get YouTube Studio back up. There we go. Would Quetzalcoatlus see a human as prey? Maybe. Maybe. Opinion on Hatsai. Could you mind searching up Silosuchus? I could. And opinion on Hatsai Island. Who doesn't like Hatsai Island? Insular dwarfism is always a very fun, you know, like, it's cool. It's just cool. There's a lot of really cool animals like Magyarosaurus. Why are they showing me a picture of Ephagaia? That's, oh, I've seen Silosuchus before. Okay. Yeah, Silosuchus is one of those, looks like a dinosaur, but it's not a dinosaur reptiles. As I thought, it is a part of Pseudotsuchia, and again, it does look a lot like a dinosaur, but it is more closely related to crocodilians than it is to dinosaurs, which are, I love those guys. You know, those guys are always really, really fascinating. Yeah, but the first image they showed me was like Ephagaia. Suchus tells everything. Sometimes, yeah. Do I know Ankylosaurus? Ankylosaurus, I believe I do. Hold on 1 second. Let me check to make sure I do know before I say anything. Oh yeah, Ankylosaurus. That's right. I was thinking of something completely different for some reason. But yeah, no, I've seen Ankylosaurus. This guy's often called like the T-Rex of its time. It's got like a really big head and like a really crazy dentition. It's an interesting fella, that's for sure. It looks cool. It looks really metal. I like it. Have you read On the Origin of Species? It's a wonderful book. I haven't finished reading it, but I do have it. I am, like, I chip away at it every once in a while. You should play more prior Extinction. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not too sure yet. Someone needs to make a horror movie or game about Hatsai Island. That would be a great idea. Hey, Evan. So is Nagatitan the first Southeast Asian sauropod that you've heard about? Maybe. Off the top of my head, maybe. Yeah. Not paleo, but there's a new rodent described in Argentina. Looks goofy. Really? There's a new Argentinian rodent. Let me check. I need to see how goofy it is. Is it Sieramis? Is that what it's called? If that's how it's pronounced, Sierrammys. Is it published in... Does my wife like dinosaurs? Yes, she does. Hi Dino Guy, I have a funny story. I was at a place and a Pakistani dad was telling their kid so seriously while the kid was eating chicken that the chicken is a small T-Rex. And that got on my nerves. Because of the whole, of course, the whole misconception that T-Rex evolved into the chicken. Yeah, no, it's just a lot more accurate to say that it's a, you know, the chicken they were eating is a dinosaur. Opinion on Ceratopsians? I don't know. At least the dad is trying. Yeah, exactly. It is a step in the right direction. Who is the sauropod behind you? This is Argentinosaurus that we have named Sam, after Sam Neill. It's a Good figure, and it's gorgeous. It's like one of my favorite figures. Okay, what time are we at, by the way? I need to make sure I'm not going overtime. Okay. We're good to go a bit more. Did Jurassic World Evolution 3 make you like the D-Rex more? I'd say I like it just as much as I did beforehand. There's really not much you could do to make me like be head over heels over that creature. I'm not to say that I dislike the D-Rex. I think it's fine the way that it is. I even have a D-Rex figure, but it's not going to be my favorite thing in the world. Thomas. That's the new rodent. Let me check. Well, they're not bringing it up for me. Well, shoot. Okay, well, I'll have to put a pin in that one. When I was in first class, I thought my grandma said dinosaurs. More on the dinosaur dragon thing. Dragons only really took on dinosaur traits after the turn of the 20th century. Before that, they really looked they really looked like dinosaurs. Yeah. Is a study and a paper the same thing in paleontology? Well, studies are published in papers, basically, so yeah. Whenever I say paper, it could refer to like a description of an animal or a recent study. I meant rarely. Yeah, I figured you did. I figured. If they made a Hammond Collection D-Rex, would you get it? Probably not. Rarely look like dinosaurs, yeah. I figured that's what you meant. Sorry, a fly in your room. There's a fly in my room. That's unfortunate. It's like that one episode of Breaking Bad. I just have to spend the rest of the episode trying to get this fly. Otherwise, my area will be tainted. Jesse! By the way, Sam owes me 500 cigarettes. He owed me those for 90 million years. Nah, Sam's good. He's good. It's paid off. Dragons take on the appearance of the most appearance of what's most popular now they had just absorbed that. Yeah. I can certainly see that being the case. Then as a result, people get their things from pop culture and then they think, "Oh, dragons always looked like this." Have you seen the documentary called Dinosaur Britain? Yes, and I really liked it. I watched it a couple of years ago. A few years ago, and it was good. I really liked it. I think I am just not used to seeing a skeleton that has a body that is wider than the height. So that might be why the ribs in the Lego Tyrannosaurus look off to me. I don't think the ribs are wider than the height. Yeah, they're definitely not wider than the height. That might be a perspective thing for the camera, if I'm being honest. Because they're not. From my angle, they're definitely not wider than the height. That's probably that's definitely perspective. It's just like the ribs are just a little bit closer to the camera, and so it looks like it might be. Yeah, I don't think they're definitely not. Jesse, you don't understand. Jesse, chickens are not T-Rexes. They are just dinosaurs. Oh, man. It's a good show. It's a very good show. Opinion on Ceratopsians. Yeah, it's the first sauropod ever found, which is quite significant. And it translates to whale reptile, which is, you can't find a more fitting name for a sauropod. So it makes sense that that would be the first sauropod name. I like that. They are pretty wide though. I remember seeing one of my friends. They stood out to me, not gonna lie. Yeah, they are decently wide, but if I'm being honest, these still do look fairly consistent with some Tyrannosaurus specimens that I've seen. Again, T-Rex was fairly barrel-chested. Probably not as barrel-chested as we're seeing right here, but I know that some specimens are kind of on the chunkier side. But I don't think I don't think this is as wide as it appears on camera. Whale lizard isn't a whale and king lizard isn't a lizard. Guys, dang it, we can't get Cetiosaurus should have gone to Basilosaurus, and then Basilosaurus should have gone to Cetiosaurus instead. What are we doing here, paleontologists? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Do you cook? Who's asking? I don't, but Alexander Ludwig, how excited are you for Dinosaurs in the Wild West from 1 to 10? Right now, I'd say I'm a solid 9. I'm pretty excited for that. I don't know if it's a movie or if it's a short film or what. I assume it's a movie. I'm just glad that the concept of dinosaurs existing in the Wild West is finally getting explored. I'm very happy about that. Kind of sad that they didn't call me for a cameo, but whatever. I guess I'll manage. I'm just kidding. I'm not an actor, so I definitely don't expect that. Do I prefer the D-Rex in Rebirth or Jurassic World Evolution 3? I get to see more of it in Evolution 3, so probably that. Have I also seen Dead Sound Saurius series as well? Yes! Beautiful Spinosaurus, too. Like, Dead Sound, designed an amazing Spinosaurus. Next, we need a series with samurai on dinosaurs. Oh, heck yeah. That'd be awesome. Does Luke Spark know you exist? I don't know about Luke Spark specifically, but I know that the official Primitive War account knows that I exist because they've tagged me several times in their videos promoting the movie, and they've messaged me several times promoting their movie, and they follow me. We're mutual, so I know they know I exist. I don't know if Luke Spark does. We're getting 2 non-Jurassic World dinosaur movies together. Nature is healing. Oh yeah, agreed. It seems like we're finally reaching a point where Universal doesn't have a monopoly on Jurassic or on dinosaur films, which is beautiful, I know Bryce Dallas Howard knows I exist, not the channel, just me, but you did meet her. You did meet her, which is definitely something. D-Rex in the movie was marketed as this amazing villain, and then it showed up at the end for about 5 minutes. Yeah, that was probably a problem. I think they called it a series on Instagram. Did they really? Yeah, I've been looking everywhere. I've looked at their descriptions on Instagram, which I didn't see that, so I'm gonna have to look closer, I guess. On Facebook and on YouTube, and nowhere it wasn't mentioned anywhere where this project was going to be. If it's a series, that's certainly interesting. I definitely wasn't expecting that. It's also a Kickstarter, so you may get that cameo call. Oh my gosh. Dude, if I got a cameo call, I just want to be in the background with no attention brought to me. I can't deal with that type of pressure. I'll be one of the bad guys in the background just riding a Utah Raptor, and then I'll get eaten by a Spinosaurus. That's it. That's the extent of it. Yeah, but the Kickstarter is of course in, what is it, 19, 18 days? When did the trailer release? 2 days ago? I think so. So yeah, about 18 days or so. I told Bryce Howard that after the Jurassic World films made people come to the museum in droves, and after I told her the films she helped make brought people to real museums, and she teared up. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. What is my favorite modern day bird? I really like quail. Quail are such funny little guys. They are just there's a lot of them here where I live, and I just love seeing them just And I just love seeing them run around like, do, 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 do. You know, it's just cute. It's cute. It's cute stuff. Triceratops, this terror bird lived in the late Cretaceous period around 65 to 68 million years ago. Someone. This terror bird. Thoughts on blue jays? Oh, they're beautiful. Beautiful birds. I love them. Do you think some small dinosaurs had whiskers like in some paleo art? Probably. A lot of dinosaurs today have like feathers that are like kind of modified to look like whiskers. I would not be surprised if the same thing was present on non-bird dinosaurs. Hello, Dino Guy. How are you? I'm great. How are you? End of Oak Street, Primitive War 2, and Dinosaurs of the Wild West. Let's pretend the Paw Patrol Dino movie doesn't exist. Yeah, the Paw Patrol Dino movie doesn't look bad. Of course, it's a children's movie. I think my daughter's not really into Paw Patrol, so I don't know if we're ever going to watch that one. Which is a little bit sad because they have a Spinosaurus that looks just like my Spinosaurus. You know, the coloration matches up a lot. It's almost scary. I doubt it's a reference to me, but I got to see like my colors moving around as a Spinosaurus. In my opinion, hornbills are the most dinosaur-like avian dinosaurs. Well, they're very interesting looking. I'm really glad you enjoyed the New Mexico Natural History Museum. I went there as much as I could as a kid. I'll always be proud that they found what the Parasaurolophus probably sounded like. Yeah, no, it was a fantastic stop. It was one of my favorite stops on the whole trip. And like I mentioned in the video, I have family who lives there in Albuquerque, and so I've visited Albuquerque a lot growing up. But as far as I remember, we've never gone there, which is a real shame because that was just such a fantastic museum. So many amazing exhibits, so many really cool fossils to take a look at, amazing like replicas, amazing sculptures. It was great. I loved it there. Do I have any Permian figures? Yeah, I got a couple. They're all over there. Try to grab one. I don't have any back here, but let's see. Which one should I go for? That one. Scutosaurus. Hammond Collection Scutosaurus. Here, I'll try to put him somewhere you can see him. There you go. There he is. Beautiful. You don't have any museums near me? Ah, that's unfortunate. I don't really have any that are too close to me. The closest ones are a few hours away. Even the one I volunteer at is a few hours away, which is a bit unfortunate, but I try to make it happen. What is my favorite figure that I have? My Mesozoic Life Spinosaurus. That is still like pretty high up on my list. I really like it. Have I seen the Borealopelta Museum or mummy displayed in the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta, or at least photos of it? I've seen photos. I have not seen it in person yet. I plan on seeing it eventually. I got my passport earlier this year, so I plan on going to museums outside of the US at some point. That's the hope anyway. Closest museum to me is the Royal Ontario Museum, which is a banger museum prehistory wise. Yeah, it looks awesome. Opinion on Ceratopsians, the hollow lizard grandfather. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about that fella to give my opinion on it. You must put the Scudo on top of the Rex skeleton. Okay, yeah. There we go. Come on. Yeah. There we go. Scutosaurus on the T-Rex skeleton. I literally have no museum near me. That is really unfortunate. That really is unfortunate. Ontario. Dude, I don't care about pronunciation as much as that. That just gets down to semantic stuff. If you know what I'm saying, then you know what I'm saying. Different accents and like speech impediments exist. I don't get so caught up on pronunciation as much. Who's stopping you to watch the Paw Patrol Dino movie? The fact that I have a daughter. I can't just go and see movies all the time. It has to be like very precise movies. Have I heard of the fan-made paleo/dinosaur documentary called Blood Origin on YouTube? I have not, unfortunately. That sounds interesting, though. My favorite dinosaur design in the Jurassic franchise is the pelican. So realistic. Oh, yeah. Spot on. They got it. You know, they really got it. Can I talk a little bit about Bambi Raptor? Bambi Raptor's fun because its name translates to Bambi Thief. It was given the name, like it was given that first portion of the name Bambi because it's small like Bambi. I think that's really fun. My closest museum only has 2 dinosaurs, unfortunately, but there are plenty of pterosaur fossils. Oh, that's cool. That's certainly very cool. Evidence Scutosaurus is bigger than T-Rex. Oh, snap. I'm watching Surviving Earth right now, and it's pretty good so far. Is the new episode out already? No. At least not here, it's not, anyway. How repetitive is the Lego build? Not as repetitive as I thought it would be, but as you can see, there's, of course, like a lot of sections that are just the same section over and over again. So you're kind of doing a lot of the same stuff kind of frequently, but again, not as much as I thought it would be. Why is almost all of Dromaeosaurid have to name raptor and it meaning thief? I don't know. That just all, of course, boils down to whoever named the animal, of course. Do you like the Jurassic World Evolution 3 Rebirth Spino? Yeah, they did a good job. You know, it looks pretty good. Hey, be thankful raptor sounds cool and is easy to say and spell. Yeah, but one thing of raptor, doesn't raptor mean bird of prey? No, Jurassic Park got that wrong. Raptor means thief or hunter. Well, not necessarily hunter, but mainly just like thief. The problem though with raptor nowadays is this is also in large part because of Jurassic Park. A lot of people associate it with dromaeosaurids. So when they think about like megaraptors, for example, they think that megaraptors are a part of the Dromaeosauridae family, even though they're not. The same goes for Temeriraptor, the Carcharodontosaurid, which is obviously not a not a dromaeosaurid. So I think that the name raptor being like associated to that specific group has been kind of unfortunate in recent memory when we've applied it to different animals. And of course, raptors are the singular raptor only refers to a specific group of birds today, those of course being birds of prey, which are very distinct from dromaeosaurs. So there's been a lot of confusion because of it. Fun fact, I actually have multiple dinosaur models made by Dino Raw. Oh, that's awesome. On Daz Studio. And if you're wondering, it's the same guy who made most of those stock image dinosaurs. Yeah, no, I definitely remember a lot of Dino Raw's work. They were always really cool. They're extremely nostalgic for me. Signraptor, just another example. Yeah, Signraptor, Oviraptor, Gigantoraptor, all of those guys that I'm mentioning are not dromaeosaurids. They are parts of different groups, but you know, because they have the name raptor in like the word raptor in their name, people think that they're a part of the same family as Velociraptor or Utahraptor when they're not. There was never a T in Toronto. It was always a Rano. I don't know what you're saying. Do you have a favorite arboreal/semi-arboreal dinosaur? I don't think I do have a favorite. I've never really thought of that specific category. So I don't know. I might have to think about that one. Poor Oviraptor gets the name Egg Thief, even though it was just a mother trying to protect its eggs. Yeah, that is another unfortunate thing too. Is that when it was named, it was thought that it was stealing Protoceratops eggs, but alas, they were just caring parents. I'd love to see Megaraptor in the Jurassic franchise. The Mattel toy is pretty cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it either. It feels like a pretty good fit. You know, I think it'd be pretty cool. Oviraptor is a Maniraptor like Velociraptor. A lot of those guys that I mentioned are, but they're not a part of the same family. Dromaeosauridae. And again, when people hear the word raptor, they automatically think of Dromaeosaurids. Plus, people think that just because it's called Velociraptor, it's in the same group as a hawk or a falcon. And they think that Velociraptor is a bird because of it, even though they're not. There's just a lot of issues that stemmed from that, and a lot of that can be traced back to Jurassic Park, with the fact that they used the word raptor as the name to describe them, and the fact that Alan Grant said that the word raptor means bird of prey. It doesn't mean bird of prey. We just call birds of prey raptors. Opinion on Dinosaurus. It's real, but something's off about it. Yeah, it's like a freaking synapsid, which is wild. But dromaeosaurs are in the broad family Maniraptor. Well, yeah, they are, but Maniraptora is not a family as well. It's also a complete clade. And I know what you're talking about. I understand what you're talking about, but again, I'm talking about families here. Dromaeosauridae is a family. Oviraptoridae is a distinct family from that family. Megaraptoridae is a distinct family from that family. That's mainly what I'm referring to right here, and what I'm mentioning, because like if you want to say that they're in the broad strokes of it all, T-Rex is also a part of that. So, you know, there's also a lot of problems that come with that. I wonder why some Jurassic movies include inaccurate and false information. They just take a lot of creative liberties nowadays. And they, you know, I don't know. It is what it is. Hello to everybody who's now just joined, by the way. And also, I should probably keep an eye on time. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Okay. Got like 9 minutes, I think. Can't wait for a sauropod with raptor in the name. That would certainly be interesting. I'm recently found out iguanodon and iguanodontid are not hadrosaurs. They're not hadrosaurids, of course. Was Balor a dromaeosaur? It was at one point. It was considered to be a dromaeosaur, but nowadays I don't think that's the case. It was a bird. Yeah, I don't. It's certainly closer to a bird at the very least. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I'm reading something right now. Apologies for that, everybody. I'm just kind of verifying something that I said. Okay, yeah, you're right. You are right in that. But still, because if we were to get as broad as we can possibly get, then we can also consider all of these animals a part of Coelurosauria, of course. And I'm talking to Pokesaurus. Apologies, everybody else. And yeah, no, they are a part of Maniraptora, which of course is a wider clade. But again, what I was referring to is specific families. We're not talking about clades here. We're talking about families, which of course you're getting to animals that are more closely related to each other than animals that are a part of a larger clade. Sexual dimorphism in chickens are the most noticeable in my opinion. Oh yeah. My point is saying Oviraptor is related to Velociraptor isn't super accurate. Isn't inaccurate. I can't read. Isn't super inaccurate. Well, no, it's not. Of course it's not. But you can apply that to many different groups of dinosaurs. You can certainly say that a lot of them are, like, again, what we're talking about here is specific families. I was talking about families. Like, yeah, you can bring up a wider clade and say they're all, because then you can also apply that to many different other groups. You can also say that T-Rex is pretty closely related to Spinosaurus because they're a part of Theropoda, that doesn't really accomplish much, because, yeah, they're close in the fact that they're a part of Maniraptora, but that doesn't, in terms of the conversation that we were currently having, that doesn't really accomplish too much. I guess I'm not getting how broad Maniraptora is. It's decently broad, because what you got, ornithomimosaurs, you have Oviraptorosaurs, Therizinosaurs, Alvarezsaurs. There's quite a few animals that are a part of the clade, that's for sure. Of course, these guys are more closely related to birds than other types of dinosaurs. Birds are also a part of the clade, Avialae. But again, my main point was just to talk about specific families. We were talking about Dromaeosauridae specifically there, and the animals that are not a part of that family. Oviraptor is not a part of Dromaeosauridae. It is a part of Oviraptoridae, is what I was talking about there. We're mainly getting into semantics when we start bringing up larger, broader groups like that. You're going to finish the dinosaur Lego set in a few months, even though the box says 10 plus years. Very true. Very true. Also ignoring the fact there's a Carcharodontosaurus with raptor in its name. Yeah, I brought that up earlier. Again, that's another one. Like, people hear Tamaryraptor and they're like, oh, must be a dromaeosaur. But, obviously. We need more Alvarezsaur love. Alvarezsaurs are kind of frustrating because we don't know a lot about them, but we're learning more about them. Hopefully we can learn more about them. Opinion on Bonapartenicus. A good example of an Alvarezsaur. It's cool. It's a cool dinosaur. Yeah, I don't know. More recent developments might even imply that Alvarezsaurids were not as insectivorous as we once thought. My bad. I failed to see you were sticking to Dromaeosaurs. Oh, no problem at all, dude. No, again, yeah, I was just talking about that specific group and why people will often associate other, like, I've had people ask me if, like, confuse Megaraptor for a Dromaeosaur, for example. Like, they thought it was in the same family because it has raptor in its name, which is, again, not the case. That's what I was mainly talking about right there. Surprising common misinterpreted, Giganotosaurus did not hunt or live alongside Argentinosaurus. Yeah, it was Mapusaurus, and I believe another Carcharodontosaurid. How would Alvarezsaurus drink mate? With their mouth. Raptor is like Saurus, just a name, not a family. Exactly. But again, there's a lot of people who just don't have that same understanding with it. And the Raptor has become more to a lot of people. Again, a lot of it is because of Jurassic Park, with people, with Alan Grant just referring to them as raptors and whatnot. People view the word raptor as a family. That's just, and after doing science communication as long as I have, I've seen a lot of comments of people making that confusion, or getting that confusion. Still waiting for Raptorosaur. Hey, we had Raptor Rex. That's kind of something. Hey, Dino Guy, fun fact, Siamotyrannus is actually more related to Sinraptor and Yangchuanosaurus than to Tyrannosaurus. And yes, Siamotyrannus is currently accepted as a Mentriacanthosaurid. Very cool. And I got to check the time again. Whoops, I always forget to do that. Okay, we're likely going to end the stream right here, I think, because of course we've been going for quite a while right now, and it is certainly hot in here. So I want to thank everybody for coming by and hanging out. It's always a real pleasure to speak with everybody. Again, we're making pretty good progress on this. I think, like, I'm feeling pretty confident that we'll have it finished by the next live stream, and then we'll just be completely done with this Lego set, and we can just get back to other types of live streams like video games or just sitting down and chatting and whatnot. But yeah, again, thank you all for coming by and hanging out. It was good talking with y'all, and yeah, we will see y'all later.